Welcome to Landworks TV, welcome to the Netherlands and Tractive Suspension HQ. Little Irish on the ramps behind me. I think it's about time we looked at an upgrade to some game-changing suspension on this cracking little Porsche 911. This is such an exciting day for me. You can see Little Irish behind. Everybody knows this car by now, but usually you see it on the ramp at Right, which is where you saw the car in part one of this suspension double header. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I'm at Tractive Suspension HQ in the Netherlands with some genuine game-changing technology going on the car, and this is going to widen the bandwidth of usability of my car substantially. This is a bit of a journey for me. So Tractive suspension first came on my radar a couple of years ago, having driven a 964, funny enough, a classic 911. I was absolutely astounded by the elevation in performance just from suspension on a classic Porsche. It was incredible. I then had further exposure to the product in the Sharkworks GT3 Touring 997 project. I'll drop a link to that video in the description below. Now, if you've not heard of Tractive, the company over the last 15 years, really, it's been a meteoric rise, has transformed the automotive sphere, first with bikes, but now with cars and manufacturers and in the aftermarket. Some of the highlights of that engineering innovation has seen success at Pikes Peak, for example. The concept of the technology is pretty tricky. It's basically allowing full adjustability of your suspension system on the fly. Now, from a Porsche perspective, particularly in regards to damping, this kind of came onto the scene for about like the 997 generation of 911 with PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management. That sort of system and concept has been on Porsche sports cars since the 997 and has slowly evolved into what we see now on the 992 GT3 RS, whereby you can adjust the parameters of the suspension settings via those dials hanging off the steering wheel. Very trick, very expensive and exclusive as it stands to the 992 GT3 RS. However, separate to that, there's been a huge rise in the outlay of this technology, particularly in the resto mod scene, which Tractive has been a very big player in, as well as some top automotive brands outside of Porsche. However, there's still a role to play for the likes of you and I, the everyman and woman that has our own Porsche 911 in the garage and just wants to use it more and get the very best out of it. And that's where this kit comes in. As you can see, what looks like an ordinary damper with this little thing hanging off the top. And this is the game-changing stuff, because while I mentioned PASM first came onto the 911 for the 997 generation, even though that stuff is pretty primitive because there's only two settings there, it's very binary, on or off. This is way more intelligent than that, but we'll come to that later on. But for everything prior to the 997, so 996 and backwards, we didn't have any of that. It was just a fixed suspension and that's it. Various aftermarket products and solutions have been offered since, which involves a mandrolic switching up of the system. So, for example, the aftermarket system that I've had on Little Irish for the last 5 years, you can switch up the settings, but that involves getting under the car, which I never do because it's just too much hassle. With the Tractive kit, you can do all of that on the fly. You can literally do it sat exactly where you are in the car, okay? So that is a real game changer and basically increases the bandwidth of usability with your Porsche. As you well know, like with my story of this now, it's my daily driver, it's also my track tool and it's my road trip ally as well. But the suspension requirements for each of those things are different and require a different setup. So when you've got one fixed thing, there's always an element of compromise. The idea is this system takes all of that away and therefore will allow me to get the very best and the very most out of my Porsche 911. So here is the component tree, like I said, with this hanging off, which for you 996 owners will know that this isn't normal to be associated with a 996. How does it all work? Well, I'm not going to explain that. I'm not qualified enough to do it justice. So we're going to speak to someone from the team here at Tractive, which is Julian, to explain all of this in greater detail. So this is the actual system that's going to go on Little Irish.
Yep, it is.
I know it to be the touring model. In terms of the tech that goes into it, what does all of that mean?
It's our standalone system that we produce for the cars without any semi-active suspension, like a Porsche with PASM. So essentially, you're going to get a car with PASM, but then slightly better. Each kit contains our DDA valve, our patented valve, which we produce in over 150,000 pieces a year. Gets OEM used as well for multiple manufacturers. And we've been able to utilize the valve in a very good way together with our own developed controller. Very basic in terms of input. We mount the controller as close to possible into the center of the car, where we hook everything up. There's a single wire going to each shock. You can see it. Quite straightforward. And in terms of system, how it operates, there's a 3-axis G sensor inside the controller. Each wheel is individually controlled. So depending on how the car is moving, how it's behaving, we make the modifications to the damping, and it's lightning fast. The valve operates between 6 to 10 milliseconds. So we can go from fully open to fully closed within that time, and anywhere in between. So if we want to have a mid-range damping or a full open or a full stiff, we can do that. And with that system, we're able to support the chassis. So we're able to support during braking, but also support during acceleration and stop the car from rolling during cornering or anything in between. So any weird movements that you would normally have and unsettling the car, we try to support the platform. The biggest thing is that you can drive the car very nicely and comfortable. So with soft damping, both front and rear axle, and then having maximum roll, maximum pitch control, it makes the car feel slightly weird maybe, especially in the beginning. But once you get to know it, the car is so much more controlled during cornering. And then especially in the UK, it's crazy how fast you can blast over the A and B roads.
Yeah.
Giving so much more support. So on the front, we have a McPherson strut. We have an inverted strut, so a thicker piston rod, so to say. There's still internals that guide the outside strut, but it gives better stability during cornering braking. It also allows us to have the wire coming out of the bottom, which is in our case the safest because we can route it inwards. The shocks are also built to accept the OEM top mount,
which is what's fitted there.
Yeah, we always recommend, especially on the older cars, to fit new top mounts because it's also a used product at some point, and it's been to a couple of thousand miles. So,
great advice. Great advice.
In order to have a fresh start like you did with new control arms, new suspension arms, and then having the new shocks and the new top mounts, you can definitely say it's a fresh, a freshened up car now. And for the rear, goes the same way. So a separate adapter for the OEM top mount. With a fixture for the 60mm eye-box springs. The material that we use is a very hard plastic one, which is not aluminium because aluminium can start to rattle and corrode. This material is very stiff, especially made for construction as we use it. So it doesn't make noise, it doesn't start to rattle. So NVH for us is also important.
So that's like, the componentry software.
This is the electronics. So this is our main controller. It's a single plug unit, so we have a single wiring harness, one connector, nothing else is required. We have a mounting bracket, so it can be mounted on any fixing point. It's also slightly mounted in rubber to filter out the first initial movement, which is important. Of course, they're all numbered, serialed and everything, so we know where each controller went and whatever programming went into it. So at a later stage, we can always call back whatever it was in it.
Awesome. So that's really cool for aftercare then.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Then with the wiring harness, it's very straightforward. Again, main connector, all OEM, quality, watertight. So essentially, you could mount it on the outside of the car, but you don't want to do that. Then we have a communication connector. Then we have the connections for the display with the cable. And depending on the application, we also have an extension cable that then comes with the kit, as long as we know where the wiring needs to go. Then you have a positive, a negative, and an ignition lead in order to power up the system. Then we have a display. It's from a partner of us in Germany. It's a touchscreen display, very nicely, has our layout onto it. So you can easily adjust front damping, rear damping, anti-roll, anti-pitch. And then a couple of other settings. The display is also capable of dimming. So we have the dimming function. You can set that every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So you're not always looking to a bright screen. Yeah. Just as soon as you touch it, lights up, and then it's already up and running.
You make it sound really simple.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for a long time. So for me, it started to be simple, but it's still special, especially if we have a customer that's very happy with the car, happy with the performance, amazing about the ride quality, and just loves to drive his revamped car again. So that's hopefully we're able to achieve that with you as well.
Excellent. I can't wait, Julian. I really can't wait. Thank you for explaining the tech and the science behind the Tractive kit. with viewers for 9works TV.
You're welcome.
The Tractive team started by ridding Little Irish of its genuine Fuchs wheels, because you can't do a lot with those still in the way. Then it was a case of removing the old shocks and guiding the shiny new Tractive dampers, eye-back springs and new Porsche top mounts all into place. The guys advised I fit new drop links, which were again sourced from Myla via Heritage Parts Centre, where you can get up to 10% off your basket by using the code 9works10. With the new struts in place, the team could reassemble the front brakes and spacer setup before repeating the endeavour at the rear. Let's check in with another piece to camera, but before that, a weirdly satisfying clip of talking up. Now, the physical componentry that's going on the car is kind of the bit that you don't see. The front of house business is this. This is what you will see via this little screen. Now, Tractive have got a number of ways of giving you, the end user, functionality to use the kit. For the resto mod movement, it tends to be kind of a subtle dial that's built into the dash to basically make it look like factory, but still give the system that functionality and being able to switch from one mode to the other. Now, with the 996, that's kind of pointless because, let's face it, these cars could do without another plastic button because from factory, the quality wasn't that great. So I'm all for this screen that's basically going to sit in the dashboard of Little Irish and is going to give a neat little display to show me at all times the different parameters that are available and how I can switch from one mode to the other. Naturally, there's no obvious place to mount this screen in the Porsche 996, so the guys have rather cleverly 3D printed a bracket for this screen to sit basically within the centre console of the dashboard, nice and sleek, nice and subtle, and crucially, this screen won't be illuminated all the time either, so it should look like it was always meant to be there and is basically going to be housed underneath the Porsche PCCM system to complement what is already there in the dash of Little Irish. The dampers were in place, but now was the big job of getting the electrical system wired up and connected. It meant removing the front seats and taking the dash to bits, as the team were using Little Irish to update their install guide for the 996 Generation 911. So, there wasn't a lot for me to do at this point, save for reusing the driver's chair to sit down and get some work done. In the meantime, the Tractive team cracked on with installing the wiring harness, control unit, seen here going under where my driver's seat will sit, and touchscreen, with the cabling running through the car from the dampers in the back to the fuse box and even the battery in the front. At the end of a solid day's work, the system was live and kicking. Time for Julian to show me and you how it all works.
It's very straightforward. There's a very nice function built into the display as well, which is a dimming function, as you can see now.
Yeah.
So you don't have to look at the dials or look at the mode switches if you want to. But you can easily touch, display reacts, wakes straight up, and lights up so you can play with the adjustments again.
Yeah. So you've got 5 modes. There's enough bandwidth there to have like 5 different set.
It's more than what Porsche gives you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So let me just turn off the sleep mode. That allows us to play around a little bit easier.
Yeah, that seems really nice and responsive, that screen.
It does. It's all CAN based. It's from a partner of us in Germany who developed software for us, of course, based on our requirements. And as you can see, we have front axle damping, rear axle damping, anti-roll and anti-pitch. So pitch and squat and roll in the longitudinal axle. Mm-hmm. Next to that, you see the M1 button. The M1 stands for mode 1, so we have mode 1 up to 5, which allows you to save the presets. And you can just easily click, keep scrolling through, and then you see the dials changing to different modes. So, like I said to you, there's one mode that you can use to take your wife out. Makes the car very nice and comfortable, but very controlled.
Very much a fan of that.
Yeah, so it's very easy to switch in between, and we use this display or this page, so to say. You have to find the balance in the car and create the modes that you like.
Yeah.
So in this instance, we have 2 blocks of front axle damping. So it's not that when it's completely on minus, there's no damping. But that's the softest setting that we allow it to.
Yes.
And that's by us on the back end. It's completely programmable. Depends on each application, on how we develop it.
Yeah. So front and rear is your basis for damping, isn't it? Like between soft and firm.
It's like normal what you do with the clickers.
Yes. And then roll and pitch underneath it, again, is split down into 5 segments, but number 1 is off for that support.
Yeah, correct. So if you want to make the car as soft as possible and as less supported as possible, you just dial everything off.
Yeah, okay.
Dial the roll off, dial the pitch off, and especially for range settings, you want to have the car as movable as possible. Of course, still controlled. But
Yeah.
you definitely get a big gain over competitors, especially during a track day. You don't want to turn the wheel and get your arms in the wheel wells and trying to adjust the shocks.
Yeah.
So you can do everything on the fly, and it's just easy.
Yeah. So if there's like the 5 segments, if you've got say rear, there's like 3 bars lit up. That's basically 60% stiff.
Yeah.
In pure and simple basic terms for everyone.
Correct.
Because I've read the user manual, which is extremely helpful, so thank you for supplying that.
There's a lot of people that don't.
Well, you've got to know how to use this thing. That's the thing, there's no point having the tech if you can't get a grasp of it. So, yes, you've made the point where you can adjust things on the fly and then save it down for that specific calibration if you want to kind of tweak that. Is there between the 5 modes, does the system come with like a preset? Or is everything's zeroed out and it's up to the user to fill things in from there?
Everything is zeroed out, so the user is there to freely adjust. In the manual is also a section where we recommend a couple of settings that you can play with, but essentially the base damping as we supply the kit, even though there's no power to it, that is a certain value, so to say, and we just allow that customer to adjust it where he want it.
Yeah, okay.
So in essence, you have to do all the modes yourself, and we can guide on it, and we have a lot of companies that help with setting it up, and the specialists that already know the product.
Yes.
They're definitely know, okay, this works or that works for this car, do this and do that. But for us, it's quite easy to help and support them that as well. So it's
that sounds like you've done me a bit of a favour then, because you'd said earlier on, and this kind of pulling off your previous experience where you've worked at Porsche and a specialist, that with the unique weight distribution of the 911, you said this is what I tend to find is a really nice setup.
Yeah, there's like we had yesterday in the modes that we have programmed, it was always nice to have a slightly more damping on the rear, and then you would also always have a difference on the display. We've now recalibrated the controller specifically, so the modes front and rear are the same. So the damping ratio front towards rear is already different. Which is for us internally easy to calibrate. So in the future, we can use this testing as what we've done in order to improve on the other applications that we do as well, just to have that distinctive 911 setting, so to say, which we've already developed.
I don't think there's any other questions, really, unless there's anything else that you'd like to
Well, I can show you. It's very easy to save the mode. So once you've fixed all the settings to your liking, you just press and hold the M1 and the system will confirm M1 saved.
Super.
You can switch to the pages, so you can switch easily to go through different pages. So we have the mode display that you can just easily, just by the press of a button, change the mode, apply, things like that. So that's very easy. And then we also have a menu button with a calibration. So the initial startup of the system, once the system gets it powered up for the first time, so hooking up the battery or placing the ignition wire, the system will boot up and calibrate the 3-axis G sensor inside the controller. It's always very important. If the car's been off power or the battery has been replaced, the initial first startup after a while, so when the controller is completely died out of power, so to say, it always needs to be recalibrated.
Okay.
And it's always recommended to do that, well, preferably on a flat spot like we are here now, or in the parking lot, or when you're almost confident that the car is fully horizontal.
Okay.
And we also have the backlight adjustment that we have built in, because that really helps, especially at night driving.
Yes.
It complements the sleep mode. So if you want to have a lot of backlight, and then have the sleep mode off, because now if you look at it, you can set it to 10 seconds, then the sleep mode will die down the display. System is still fully operating. It looks like it's not there, so it completely shuts down the display. But as soon as you touch it, comes back on
Yeah,
again.
which
So
is
that's-
amazing because
Yep.
it's not like over-roaring you and putting
No.
your eyes unduly away from the road when you don't want it to.
You can
so.
focus on that. So
Yeah.
I'll adjust that because I probably guess that you want to play a lot with it.
Yeah,
On
for
the way
now,
home.
for sure.
Then we also have an info button which shows the software and the serial code of the display, which is for us always important, but also for our supplier to know, okay, which serial is this? What can we do?
Yeah.
Before we always had to unscrew the display, look at the back because there's a sticker on the back, but it's all built into the software. So it's very easy for support.
Super. I think that's it then, Julian, unless there's anything else.
I think so too, and I wish you a lot of fun with it and hope you'll have a nice drive home.
I'm certain I will. Many happy miles
Nice
ahead.
and comfortable drive
I
home.
very much hope so. And then, turning the wick up as I go. I'm looking forward to exploring this over the kind of coming weeks and months, really. So thanks for explaining that. Thanks for all your hard work as well in putting the thing in the car for me.
You're welcome.
And,
The team was very happy to do it, so we wish you all the best.
Nice
and,
one.
Enjoy it.
Thank you, Julian.
You're welcome.
Coming up in part 3, I deliver my real-world verdict on the Tractive touring system in my 996 before showing you behind the scenes at how these active dampers are made at the Tractive Factory HQ.